All right, guys. In Victoria and across Australia, we're all going through a cost of living crisis. It's very in your face, and I think there's a lot of people out there who are struggling to pay rent, mortgages, put food on the table. Like it's a real thing that's happening that can't be denied. Particularly things like energy bills, right? They've gone up so much. So in light of all of that, when we consider this latest news that our politicians, in particular the Premier of Victoria, is getting this pay rise, a 3.5% pay rise, it seems a bit ridiculous, and people are quite rightly upset about it. So I'm just going to read this quick article from the Financial Review to get an understanding of why they're getting this pay rise and how much this pay rise is. And then maybe I'll share some of my thoughts, and you can give me some of your thoughts about this. Should politicians be getting a pay rise during such a time? Or do we need to introduce some sort of other mechanism to ensure that their pay rises actually reflect community expectations and what the community is going through as well, because this does come across as a slap in the face to Victorians who are struggling. So the Financial Review says Daniel Andrews awarded hefty pay rise. Victorian MPs will receive a 3.5% pay rise from July 1st, which will boost backbench MPs' pay to almost $200,000 and Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews' pay to more than $481,000. Now, don't get me wrong, politicians, they should be paid for what they do, and they already get paid very well. So this increase, putting it up to these type of figures, is it really necessary during this cost of living crisis? The Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal made the determination for the increase on Tuesday, despite the Victorian Greens arguing it should be no more than 1.5% because of MPs' generous wages. There's our friend Daniel Andrews. The increase will mean a backbench MP will rise to $198,839. Mr. Andrews' pay will rise by $16,272, including up to $60,000 in expenses and allowances, making him the highest paid premier in the country. The highest paid premier in the country is Daniel Andrews, and he has, I think, almost the highest debt. I don't want to be fact checked, but I'm pretty confident to say Victoria has one of the highest debts as a state in the country, and this guy is now the highest paid. And during this cost of living crisis, he is getting an increase of up to $16,000. Deputy Premier Jacinta Allen's pay will rise to more than $409,000, while Opposition Leader John Pessetto's pay will rise to $383,860,000, around the same pay as a cabinet minister. Now, one interesting thing that was said, that's being said by some people in relation to this, is these politicians, just to show solidarity with the public, should potentially donate this pay rise to charities to help people in need during this time. Is this money, this extra money that they're getting, really needed? Because their salary is already very well, they're very well remunerated already for what they do by the public. But since those comments have been made, the politicians have come out and said no, they won't be donating to charity, and they've given different reasons. So the opposition leader, at least to his credit, John Pessetto, has called for reform of the process that sees these type of increases happen to match more in line with community expectations, particularly during times like this. But he has flat out said that he won't be donating his increase in salary. Opposition leader John Pessetto has called on the Andrews government to reform the Independent Remuneration Tribunal to better reflect community expectations after Victorian politicians received yet another pay increase. But Mr. Pessetto said he will not be donating his pay rise, which will bring his total take-home pay to $383,860. Now, Daniel Andrews is actually an article in the Herald Sun. He said he won't be donating either. Mr. Andrews said the government supported the current independent process to determine the pay of politicians. We do not set our own wages, and I think that is far preferable than politicians setting in judgment of themselves and determining how much we would get paid, he said. Asked if he would donate the latest pay hike to charity, Mr. Andrews said, "My family makes contributions to many different causes. That's a private matter. We don't seek to publicise the sort of charities that we support, but that's an important part of our family and the way that we like to live our lives," he said. Attorney General Jacqueline Sams acknowledged many Victorians continue to struggle with the cost of living pressure. She said most politicians make a substantial contribution from their personal pocket to community groups and charitable organisations. I'll continue that practice, she said. So what do you think? During this time, during this cost of living crisis, during this time when people, because of these crappy decisions really made by federal and state politicians, people are being taxed more, they're increasing pressure on the everyday person. During that time, should these politicians be getting these pay rises? Now, I get it. It's an independent body and it's at arm's length, apparently, and all this kind of nonsense. But really, when we look at the reality of what we're facing as an everyday person, we don't have this type of luxury to get these type of increases, right? It's not happening for the rest of us. So it does really come across as a slap in the face. In particular, again, Daniel Andrews, his performance as the premier of the state, even though he's won these elections or whatever, it can't be denied how just shockingly of a situation we are in as a state, whatever excuses that he makes. And now he's being rewarded up to $16,000 because of this system that is set up. Yeah, I don't know. I think people aren't going to be happy about this, and it's going to create more community discontent. But with like all these type of stories, it will be forgotten, and probably next year we'll be discussing how they're getting another 1.5 to 3.5% pay increase, and it'll just go in a cycle. This is just the story of how it is for us in this country, and particularly in this state. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy my videos, you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Odyssey, and of course, Rumble at The Real Rukshan, or you can search for Rukshan Fernando. Thanks, guys, and see you next time.